I still remember that night, every second of it, the moment I stepped onto the porch of that house. I don't know why, but as soon as I opened the gate, a cold gust of air brushed against the back of my neck. It was December, but that cold wasn't normal. It felt like someone's breath touched my skin. My name is Adam James, and I work as a real estate photographer in New York. People often ask me, Adam, don't you ever get scared shooting those old abandoned houses? And I'd always laugh. If a ghost gives me a good angle, he's more than welcome. But that night, that smile never came back. The address was 112 Ocean Avenue, Long Island, New York. A beautiful old house, white walls, blue shutters, and windows that looked like lifeless eyes. I was told a new couple was moving in, and I just needed to take some interior photos before they arrived. But the moment I stepped inside, the air changed. A thick, salty dampness filled the house, like seawater mixed with something rotten. I held my breath and lifted my camera. Click! The flash went off. For just a second, I saw a shadow dart across the wall. I froze. Looked again. Nothing. Just light reflection, I whispered to myself. But my gut said otherwise. This house isn't empty. I started climbing the stairs. Each step creaked, like something below was matching my pace. When I reached the third step, I heard it. A faint whisper behind me. Don't go. I stopped cold. My heart started hammering. I turned around. The front door had quietly shut itself. It's the wind, I muttered, but the air was still. Upstairs, old family portraits hung on the walls. One photo caught my eye, a family of 6, smiling stiffly at the camera. Behind them, half hidden in the blur, was a 7th face. I zoomed in. The face was looking right at me, eyes wide, unmoving, alive. I went down to the basement. The temperature dropped immediately. My breath fogged in the air. I turned on my camera flash, and there it was, something written on the wall in what looked like dark, dried blood. They never left. My hands began to tremble. Probably kids, I thought, some prank. But the house had been empty for months. Then came the sound, footsteps, slow, coming from behind me. I spun around. A woman was standing there, wearing a long white dress, her face half in shadow. Hello? I said. Do you live here? She just stared and whispered, We all live here. And then she vanished. My camera fell from my hand, but it kept clicking on its own. Click, click, click. Later, when I checked the pictures, she was in every single frame, each time closer to me. I ran up the stairs straight to the door, but when I opened it, it wasn't daylight anymore. It was night. The clock on the wall showed 3:15 a.m. That was the exact time the DeFeo murders had taken place decades ago, the same murders that made this house infamous. My breath caught in my throat. I stepped outside, fog everywhere, thick like smoke. But the moment I did, I wasn't outside anymore. I was back in the basement, same wall, same words. And now, she was behind me. She looked straight into my eyes. Her face began to change, eyes bleeding, lips splitting open, yet her voice crystal clear. Now you'll stay too, Adam. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. The camera's flash went off one last time, and everything went black. The next morning, police found my camera on the front lawn. No trace of me inside. But the camera had new pictures, and in every photo I was standing there, right in the center of the frame, smiling. Neighbors said the house lights flickered all night long, and the couple who was supposed to move in, they canceled everything, because their phones kept receiving the same image, me, standing in the basement, smiling next to that wall. Some places aren't just haunted, they're alive. Places where even the wind trying to convince you that you're not alone. My name is Rayhan Khan, a travel vlogger. I love exploring mysterious places around the world. People often say, ghosts? Spirits? Those are just stories. And I used to laugh, until the day I went to Bhangarh Fort. I arrived in Rajasthan under the burning sun. The roads were empty, the air heavy, and the silence. felt alive. An old villager warned me, "Son, never stay in Bhangarh after sunset. At night, voices call, and they don't call the living." I smiled. "Baba, I'm just there to film a video, not to make friends with ghosts." My cameraman, Adil, looked uneasy. "Rehan, what if something does happen?" I laughed. "Then the views will double." By 6 p.m. we reached the gates of the fort. Not a soul around, just the chirping of insects and the breathing of the wind. The sun slipped behind the hills, and the sign above the entrance caught my eye. "No one is allowed inside after sunset." I pressed record. "Hey everyone, today we're inside Bhangarh Fort, said to be the most haunted place in India, and tonight we're finding out the truth." We switched on our lights, cameras rolling. At first it was just ruins, broken temples, cracked walls, ancient doors buried under centuries of dust. Then, a whisper slipped through the mic, faint, like someone breathing close to the microphone. I turned to Adil. "Did you say something?" He shook his head. I checked the mic, nothing wrong. And then, we heard it again. "Go back." So close it felt like it came from right behind us. Adil's face went pale. "Rehan, this isn't funny anymore." I tried to stay calm. "Just one last shot, then we're done." We walked deeper into the ruins toward the tantric's mansion. Locals say a dark sorcerer once lived here and cursed the entire town before he died. We opened a door to one of the rooms. The air inside was colder, still, heavy, almost breathing. On the wall, scratched into the stone with what looked like nails, were the words, "He's watching." Adil lifted the camera, and through the lens, we saw a shadow move. A figure, a woman, draped in white, standing silently. I turned on the flashlight, and the room was empty. But when I turned the light off again, her shadow was still there, standing beside mine. Adil dropped the camera, tears in his eyes, voice trembling. "Rehan, I'm leaving. This isn't right." "Just one more shot," I whispered. "We're almost done." And then, she appeared. She stood right in front of me, long hair covering half her face, eyes black, hollow, endless. She whispered, "Let me show you how it ends." The entire fort shook, doors slammed shut, the ground trembled beneath us, and then I heard it, hundreds of, all around, echoing through the walls. "It's ours, it's ours." I screamed for Adil, but he was gone. All I found was his mic, still recording, dripping with blood. I ran toward the exit, but the gate was sealed shut with fallen stones. In the darkness, she stood again, closer this time, smiling. The next morning, local police found a broken camera inside the fort. It had only one video file. In the last few seconds, you could see me, Rehan, running through the darkness, breathing hard, while a woman's voice followed from behind. "I told you, leave before sunset." Adil was never found. I came back alive, but I stopped speaking. All I do now is whisper the same line, over and over again. She still whispers. They say even now if you go near Bhangarh Fort at night, you can hear a faint voice in the wind. "Rehan, turn the camera on. She's coming." That was the whispers of Bhangarh, a story so real you'll feel the wind, hear the whispers, and question every sound in the dark. Some houses breathe, and some houses stop you from breathing. I'm a documentary filmmaker. For the past 10 years, I've traveled the world filming stories about haunted houses. But the day I arrived at the Monte Cristo Homestead, I realized this would be the most important frame of my career, and possibly my last film. It stood on a lonely hill in New South Wales, Australia, a grand mansion built in the 1860s. They say 7 people died there, some by suicide, some were murdered, and others simply disappeared. I was told the house now served as a museum. The owner had invited me to spend one night and film my experience. I thought, excited, perfect, real footage, a haunted location, exactly what my viewers crave. When I reached, The sun was setting behind the hills. The mansion stood tall and quiet, its windows dark, like eyes watching me arrive. The front door creaked open by itself. As I stepped inside, a sudden chill brushed the back of my neck. Not the kind of cold you feel from the wind, but the kind that comes from someone whispering close to your ear. Welcome back. Inside, everything was old but preserved. Silverware on tables, portraits on walls, and a cradle rocking gently on its own. I set up my camera. "This is the Monte Cristo Homestead," I said into the mic. "Known as Australia's most haunted house." Suddenly, a faint hiss came through the microphone. "Don't say that." I froze. Listened carefully. Nothing. Maybe it was just interference. I started recording again, but this time, I saw something move, a shadow crossing the edge of my frame. I turned the light toward it. Nothing there. Yet the shadow still appeared in the camera. Around 11 p.m., I went down to the basement. It was pitch dark. My flashlight barely made a dent in the blackness. On the wall, smeared in what looked like dried blood, were the words, "Don't wake her." My camera panned slowly, and that's when I saw him. A small boy, standing by the wall, head bowed. I blinked, flashed the light. He was gone. But the floor, it had fresh footprints, tiny ones, wet, leading deeper into the dark. Then the ground beneath me shivered, and I heard footsteps above. Slow, dragging steps of a woman walking in the room overhead. I ran up the stairs. Everything upstairs was quiet. Every door shut, except one. At the end of the corridor, a door stood slightly open, its nameplate covered in dust. I wiped it clean and saw the name, Christine. She was the original owner of the house, who had died here in 1930 along with her son. I stepped inside. The air felt heavy, thick, almost alive. Blood-like stains marked the wooden floor, and in the middle of the room, a rocking chair, moving gently back and forth, though no one sat in it. I lifted the camera, and in its reflection, I saw her. A woman behind me, tall, pale, her face stitched down the sides, eyes hollow and black. I turned instantly. The room was empty, but the rocking chair had stopped. I tried to run, but the whole house seemed to breathe, walls pulsing, whispering, "Don't leave. You woke her. Now you belong to us." Lights began to flicker, one by one, until darkness swallowed everything. My camera was still recording, but on the screen, only one thing appeared: a woman's face, getting closer, closer. I threw the camera and rushed to the door, locked, windows sealed, and in every mirror I passed, I didn't see my reflection. I saw hers. Then all the voices spoke at once. Welcome to the silence. The next morning, police found my gear outside the mansion: camera, microphone, and a single note. I woke her up. She is no longer silent. The last frame on the film showed me, sitting in the silent room, staring blankly ahead as Christine's rocking chair swayed behind me. My eyes were open, but I wasn't breathing. Locals say that even today, anyone who spends a night inside the Monte Cristo homestead finds a new video in their camera the next morning, a video of themselves sleeping, while a woman's voice whispers softly in the background, "Stay quiet. She's watching you."